All righty, guys. Welcome back to the Black Robe podcast. My name is Anzhane Slaughter, and I'm here with
Carol Mitchell.
We're so excited to talk to you guys today about everything that's going on right now in the country and here locally, of course, with elections.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, I have to just mention that the night before elections, 'twas the night before elections, and all through the house, not a creature was stirred. Not even a mouse.
It was in sight. I know, right?
Oh my gosh. I think I stayed up until 4 a.m. in the morning
Yeah.
because I just wanted to know,
Right.
not realizing that it would be days before we actually find out. The last Associated Press numbers that I saw, Anjanae,
Yes.
and this is again from the Associated Press, it shows Joe Biden at 264 electoral college votes and Donald Trump at 214.
And how many do we need?
70 to win.
Okay, so we're only 4 or 6 away. 264? So we're only 6
college votes away for Joe Biden and 56 away for Donald Trump. So the thing is, no matter how it comes out, you know, there's going to be some emotional reaction to the results on both sides.
Definitely.
And some people will not only be emotional, they will be completely irrational.
Very much so.
Behaving in ways that are unpredictable.
I mean, we see it from Trump himself already, right? He is filing lawsuits against certain states. I mean, he's just not handling this loss too well. He wants to stop the count, right? And so, like Trump, a lot of his supporters are probably going to act in the same way, right? They're going to be unhappy.
Well, I'm going to take the high road and hope that people will act with dignity and restraint and civility.
Of course.
You know, those rules are actually in the canons that lawyers sign on to. So in some ways, I'm surprised that these lawyers are allowing their client to behave in some really strange ways. First of all, you've engaged in every sort of effort possible to try to suppress votes, to keep mail-in ballots out on the front end, to make it difficult for people to vote. Folks waiting in line 5 to 6 hours to vote. And then on the back end, you want to challenge those very same votes because maybe things are not going in your direction. And so I think we just need to be prepared for the fact that however it comes out, whether it's Biden or whether it's President Trump who's reelected, we need to be vigilant. You and I have had a couple of text messages about potential violence that could happen. And we don't want people to be afraid. As Lyle Quassem said in his article to Seattle Times, it's not a time to be afraid, but it is a time to be vigilant and to be paying attention to what's going on around you, making sure you and yours are safe. Don't get in the car with anybody that's pretending that, you know, they're your Uber when your Uber says it hasn't arrived yet. So just be conscious, have a heightened state of vigilance over the next few days and weeks, maybe into the coming months.
Yeah, no, everyone, seriously, stay safe out there. You know, don't go anywhere alone in this time because you just never know. You don't want to be vulnerable, right? And honestly, I'm going to use this time to just say that bearing arms is a constitutional right.
Yes, it is.
That we all, as citizens of the United States and beyond, right, should definitely, you know, leverage. I personally, that's kind of, you know, to get a permit, a license to carry. You know,
are you?
Not right now, but no.
For those late nights at the Colored Women's Club, I'll feel safe because you might be packing. Is that what you're telling me?
In future tense, yeah. And I mean, honestly, it is our constitutional right. So we should, you know, we have the right to bear arms, and with the proper education and resources, training, absolutely.
Well, you know, I was shocked because my eldest daughter, hey Simone, she and her man, what do you call what do women
Boyfriend,
call their
boo.
they don't call them boyfriends no more.
Well,
That's
not if
the
he's
thing
not your
now.
boyfriend.
Her man, he actually bought her a gun and took her to the shooting range, taught her how to use it, and she is ready.
There you go.
So
See,
that's how you do it.
proper
You
preparation.
get properly trained. Not like my mother, right? Who has
What is
my
your
brother took her and she's always had a gun,
Mm-hmm.
but that gun had not been shot since
Oh yeah.
1935. If she had pressed the trigger, that
It was
gun would have
gonna
went.
would have cost.
It would
Would have
not have
flown to
shot
smithereens.
Well, don't be like Georgia May with that gun that you haven't shot since
Keep it well
1945.
oiled. Okay, go to the gun range, practice.
Mhm.
Again, it's our right. So
Now,
protecting yourself.
now we have some more predictable news locally,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. So
Really
elections,
up to date on the local elections, and I think
definitely.
we're both excited about the fact that Black candidates showed up in record numbers, both as candidates but also as winners. And so we're
Hmm.
very excited about that. I'm excited because obviously the Black population of Washington is less than 5%.
Yeah.
So it took people who were not Black and African American to get those candidates into office, right? So
Absolutely.
it's not just about the fact that they were Black or of African descent. It's
Hmm.
also about the fact that they were qualified and ready for that opportunity.
Hmm.
So who's on the winning list?
Yes. Well, okay. Officially, we have Tanisha L. Harris in the 17th LD, right? That's, I believe, Clark County. She is leading with over 50%. That was a very tight race. So congratulations, Tanisha Harris.
Mhm.
So excited to see you up in Olympia. All right. We also have this one, Tara Simmons. Now, she
No, yeah, but I know
she's amazing.
she's not a Black one, but she has Black children.
Black children for sure, and she was formerly incarcerated like a lot of our people, right? So she's the
Mhm.
first formerly incarcerated representative that we're going to have in the House, definitely to bring that perspective around mass incarceration, around equity, around human rights within the prisons, right? So I'm really excited to see what type of bill she's going to push forward in this upcoming session.
Hey, Kitsap County is not going to be the same because Tara Simmons has been through some things and brought her lived experience with criminal justice.
Hmm.
The WSBA, the Bar Association, she put them in
In
check
check, okay.
because she said, look, my background, my prior history should not be a barrier to my future.
Exactly. And it
And
does not define who we are.
that's exactly right. So
Hmm.
who else have we got?
Well, of course, we have Representative Morgan won her reelection campaign. Go ahead, Representative Morgan, in the 29th LD. So that's out here in Pierce County. She's a real
Mhm.
disruptor up in Olympia. We definitely need her voice and presence to, again, call out injustice and be a voice of equity. So, but that, it does not end there. Okay,
No.
we have Jamila Taylor in the 30th legislative district. So again, Pierce County, Jamila Taylor, wow, another attorney, Black woman, very strong, all about education reform, very strong voice. I'm excited. That.
Well, some of these people, some of these names, I didn't
Mhm.
even know until this election came, and I'm thinking, how could I have met these folks? I did know Tara, obviously,
Mhm.
but I had not heard of Jamila, and I'm thinking we have to find a way to maybe connect with some of this this next generation of leaders, state
Mhm.
and public leaders generally, so that we can get behind them early. One of the things we
Absolutely.
talked about is our local county council does
Mhm.
not reflect the diversity of our county.
Yes. But before we dive in, let me give everybody a shout out because these are huge congratulations.
Yeah.
We have Kirsten Harris Talley in the 37th legislative district. So another strong woman of color, coming into the House. I'm really excited to see what she does there. I'm actually from the 37th LD. That's South Seattle. Shout out to South Seattle. So there's a lot of representation that it needs to be spoken for. I'm excited to see the work that comes out of that. And then we have April Berg in the 44th. That's Snohomish County. So we're starting to see representation all along the greater Seattle, Tacoma, King, Pierce County, and now into Snohomish County.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Congratulations, Deborah Intaman, for coming in with 59, almost 60% of the vote in the 47th LD. Again, an amazing woman that wants to include equity in technology and resources. So we're starting to see really a full wraparound of support within, you know, the Black community, especially strong women. Give it up for women stepping up. But let's not forget the men. We have Jesse Johnson in the 30th LD.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Jesse. Another strong Black man, great for representation. We need more Black men in office. So he's definitely a pioneer leading the way. And then, of course, not to mention our new senator. I know, fingers crossed. But this election this race in the 28th was really something. Everyone kind of had across Washington, definitely Western Washington, had their eyes on.
Was watching this race.
Exactly.
Same with Marilyn Strickland's race.
Yes, congratulations.
That Essence magazine article.
Yes.
Yes.
We made it to Essence. Oh my God.
We made it to Essence.
Yes, we did. So congrats, Tawana Nobles. We got our fingers crossed. And to Congresswoman Strickland, we are so proud as Black women being from Washington State. I mean, this is really a historical moment for us.
Yes, right? and now we have a disclaimer.
Yes.
That all of these numbers need to be certified. And probably won't be certified for several weeks by
the auditors, the office,
county auditors, state auditor. So there's some chance that things could change slightly, but at the moment, at the way it's looking,
exactly, it's looking good.
Celebrate.
In the Black community, we do need to celebrate the small benchmarks, the milestones. So
where's the party at, Tawana Nobles? That's what I want.
Let us know. But now that we have some strong people of color in office, where do we go from here, right? How do we really navigate and are able to see change happen, right? What would you say?
Well, for one, so let's just take one example. If we really wanted to do something about enforcement of I-940, like the law that basically says wherever there's a death in police custody, there's supposed to be an investigation, a family liaison appointed, and a community group that sort of provides this oversight. We know that I-940 is not being properly implemented in most of Washington State.
Annie Ellis, let's just throw that out there. Annie Ellis.
So one thing we might do is when state laws are not being implemented the way that we know they were supposed to be, those new folks who are in the state legislature, who are in the House and in the Senate, they're our partners in making sure that what we need out of those statutes actually happens, right? They're the ones who need to maybe circle back and hold some folks accountable.
Definitely. So our House of Representatives, our Senate, these are the lawmakers, right? So we have lawyers who uphold the law, right? They use the law to protect us directly, right? But or to challenge votes, yes. But then
you don't want to be that kind of lawyer.
No. But then we have our legislators, those who actually make the laws that have to be enforced in courts, right? And so that's exactly what you're saying, is for us to really leverage those who are in places of power, in politics, these new elected officials, right? To tell them what kind of bills that we as a community want to see pushed forward, right? What bills do we want amended or changed?
I want a new whistleblower law.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right? The one we have right now in Pierce County doesn't work. And so I want the state to hold counties and cities accountable for better whistleblower protection. That's a personal thing to me, which means I'm going to be reaching out to state legislators and both in the House and in the Senate to say, what are you going to do about strengthening whistleblower protection, because I think
Exactly.
that's important. That's just one example of what people can do.
Right. So it's not just all about electing these people into office. It's connecting with them now that they're in office to make sure that they're producing the results that we put them there. Exactly.
Right,
We put them
right.
there for that we need.
And
So
we should congratulate Senator Jeannie Darneal and also
yes.
Representative Jenkins, who is also
Yes.
Speaker of
Speaker of
the
the
House.
House. And
They had a landslide
yeah.
victory. They had,
Representative Lovick,
yeah.
congratulations for your reelection, sir.
I'm just
Hmm.
wondering in some of those races. Oh, and also Justice Whitener,
I mean,
who was elected to finish out the 2-year term that she was
course.
appointed to. Uh, in some of those cases, I wonder, why did people even bother to try to compete? They lost by such a landslide that it
Hmm.
just seemed ridiculous that they wasted money. I mean, it really did. And in the case of Justice Whitener, the person who ran had never even, I don't believe he had just passed the bar like 2 or
Right.
3 weeks
Yeah.
before the filing deadline. Why is that possible? So those are things, though,
From a
that our
young,
state law
yeah,
could do something about.
absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
were saying, though, from a young person's
From
perspective.
a young person's perspective, we have to give credit when credit's due for all the experience. And yeah, from experience, especially in very tough situations. When you're a justice, I mean, you're faced with dilemmas every day,
Mhm.
ethical dilemmas, just yeah, I can only imagine. So you definitely
You probably should have been through a few trials if you're going to sit as a justice
exactly.
judging the work of other trial lawyers, other judges at the lower courts. In theory, you ought to have been
You
in a
need that type
courtroom.
of experience.
You would
Yes.
think that our state doesn't require you to have had any of that. But congratulations to
Justice
Whitener.
Whitener, absolutely.
Yes.
Experience is important.
Now she'll have to run again later, I think, at the end of this first two for a 6-year. But let's talk for a minute about young people running and getting ready to run, because as
Yeah,
I said earlier, Pierce County Council has great people on there, but no diversity that I can see in race or ethnicity,
right.
and heavily male.
Yes.
So what are
So,
we going to do about that, young people?
well, we do have another election cycle coming up, right? We have the local, county, and city mayoral elections coming up next year.
Mhm.
So this activism track that we've been on, this momentum that we've been carrying as young people on Twitter, on Facebook, showing up in the series of marches over the last summer, right? The last 6 months. We definitely need to definitely put that to the test and get some seats. So,
Yes.
so what does that look like? Well, one, you should definitely connect with a local politician. Try to get some insight, right? That would be my first thing. If I wanted to run, I need to see, well, what does it take to run?
Would you work on a campaign?
I would
What
work.
you do?
I would think, well, definitely would think to work on a campaign. Hopefully, those who want to run, maybe have some of that civic engagement experience. People don't just all of a sudden wake up and say, okay, I want to run for
Mhm.
office, or, be on some sort of council, right? They probably testified at a city council meeting before or something.
Somebody I know did that. That's how I found her. Well, it just seems to me, though, like a lot of the decisions are already made in advance. Like, if somebody comes off the council, we're going to put up this one from the city council to that slot. Or if that one
Mhm.
comes off the council, we're going to put them up to the legislature. It's as if there's this decision-making machine in the background that decides who's going to run for what in
Well, let's
advance.
let's not sugarcoat it. We know what's up. We know what's up. There is definitely some old guard that's kept in place, right? Not only in local governments, but we know nationally too. I mean, all of this facade that we're in a legitimate democracy is pretty much that. And there are countless political papers, research articles that will support what I'm saying right now. So I'm not just coming off as someone who doesn't trust in any system or any government.
Not conspiracy theory.
We are not conspiracy theorists, but it's the reality of the fact, right? I mean, it's kind of like a mask that, you know, sure, you guys can participate, but the likelihood of you guys,
You already picked who you want,
yeah,
and you got to get in line. I mean, it's almost as if too. I mean, I see how they move. People move from the legislature to, let's say, superintendent, or they move. You know, even locally,
yeah,
they want to move from being on the county council to being the sheriff.
yeah. So we really do have to break this cycle.
Get any new thought, new innovative people, new ways of solving problems in, if all you're doing is moving the chess pieces around on the board to different positions.
Well, one thing we can say is that from this last election, we've seen a lot more incoming new, you know, Black elected officials. Just, you know, so we can't say completely that it's not possible, right? Because we are seeing the Jamila Taylors and the Tawana Nobles, and you know, we're even seeing the Jesse Johnsons, although we're limited, you know, we're seeing them. So it is possible, right? But the way proper preparation is definitely going to be key. It's definitely going to be getting involved, getting your face out there, right? And partnering up with a strong consulting team, because that's another thing. When it comes to politics, a lot of people don't realize all the support that is needed in the back end. You know, I have a little bit of experience, you know, as a campaign manager and just being involved in local civic campaigns, right? Increasing minimum wage, some educational reforms, I-1000, right? So, you know, in order to have a successful campaign, you definitely need support. You definitely need the consultants. The consultants are going to tell you, you know, how to navigate the system, what's important, what areas do we need to be targeting in order to win. They're going to give you, they should be giving you the strategy, right? And so if you are considering politics, you know, and you've had some experience in campaigning a little bit already, whether it was GOTV efforts, right, getting out the vote, or phone banking, just to see a little bit of what it takes so you know what you're getting yourself into. But then you should probably also sit down with the consultant firm. And there are some Black consulting firms out there. You know, do your research, look into them. I know that they're there. And we probably do need more. We probably do need more.
But we have to also be realistic about the fact that, as we saw in this last election, some ugly stuff can happen in a campaign. Your name can be drugged through, literally through the mud, and things can be said about you in order to frankly malign your reputation. And I was very disappointed in some of the ads that I saw, particularly those that were directed at new faces and Black faces in particular. Just sort of these sort of stereotypical presentations that that's all right. Just some of those presentations that we saw in advertising that were designed to, I think, create a stereotypical image of Black women and who they are and what they're about.
Yeah, politics can definitely get nasty.
So how do you gear up for that kind of foolishness? See, this is one reason why I never wanted to do politics. I want to keep all my skeletons in the closet, keep them bad boys buried. I do not want those dead bones alive.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to avoid it, because especially once people start getting scared of losing, things turn nasty. So the best thing to do is definitely to prepare yourself for it, to expect the worst.
A squeaky clean life. If
Not
you're
at all.
a human being, you have probably done something that maybe you're not particularly proud of. And who wants all of their dirty laundry aired on national television or local television?
Yeah, I don't think anyone does. But it's honestly, if it's worth the cost,
maybe that's the reason you should do it while you're young.
Well,
before you get all those dry bones in your closet.
Who says I don't have dry bones? Young people, usually the dry bones happen when you're young.
No,
and then they come back.
You know, I got 40 years of dry bones on you. And so maybe if you start early and you get in there while you're young, before you have a whole lot of mud for people to sling, maybe.
Well, there you go, young activists. This could be the time before you get your bones. Think about your local county, city elections upcoming this next year. And even smaller than that. I mean, school boards,
Oh yeah.
Need people to represent their the students, right?
A lot of people use school boards as a way to bootstrap, or even the park board people
Park board.
use.
I can say I am a PCO in the 29th. Precinct committee officer. It's a way, there's not much obligation that comes with it. You are involved in your local LD, and you then have endorsement power on candidates that you want to elect. It's another minor leadership role that you can have in government. So that's another thing for young people out there to think about. Look up what a PCO is, and if you're interested, it's like once a month obligation, and you're working with your community to get people involved.
Well, if you ever decide you want to run for office, I'll work on your campaign.
Oh, I know I have your support.
But I think we need to take the last few minutes that we have available and shout out to our haters. We promised that we would do just a little bit of shouting out to the haters.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of it's relevant to the election.
Absolutely. Because there's going to be haters regardless, right? Haters of the upcoming president.
As Jill Scott saying, go ahead and hate on me, haters. I'm not afraid, right? But we had some amazingly crazy, in some ways, comments after our first video cast.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Needless to say, it was not welcomed by everyone, right?
Which means we're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. I'm a strong believer in, if you agree with everything, then you stand for nothing. I will gladly take my stand on one side of the fence. Okay, I'm not one to jump back and forth, and honestly, it's hard to trust those who can. So if you
be lukewarm, right?
No, stand for something.
That's exactly right.
Even if you're the only one standing, just keep standing.
I have to, I have my two.
Talk about it. Bring it up.
Because my one favorite, as I mentioned in our last episode, was the man who said, "These two chicks both look like they have some white in them."
I don't even understand the relevance. Like, what's the point? So, and don't you know? I mean, colonizers are gonna colonize.
The funny part to me was, even if we were whiter than we seem to be to him, doesn't mean that we still wouldn't hold this point of view or this opinion. I have some pretty radical white women in my world that scare me. They're so radical. So his point, I think, was that we look like we were of the ilk of the people that we were taking issue with. And so my response back to him was two words. The first, miscegenation, which was forced interbreeding that happened among slaves, captives, and their captors. It wasn't as if our ancestors, especially our ancestral mothers, had a choice. But don't be naive.
Yeah.
The brothers were being interbred too.
Oh, definitely.
To produce babies of different variations in color, and the price of the lighter was higher than the price of the darker.
Very much true.
The worked in the house, and the darker worked in the
fields.
And so all of that colorism is still very much a part of African American life, and unfortunately, it's part of that trauma and part of the legacy of slavery. So when you say we look like we might have white, we probably
do. Not by some by choice, but some not by choice.
I think there may have been situations like a Loving v. Virginia, right? Where two people really loved each other and wanted to be together consensual. But in my great-grandmother and my great-great-grandmother's cases, highly unlikely that they consented.
Nope.
So yes, there are gray eyes and red hair and freckles, in my mother's and father's family. Now, you
Mhm.
know that didn't come from the African
Right.
side.
Right.
Okay.
And again, to the hater out there, what is the relevant? Like that, it doesn't even matter, So what? On to the next one. I never understood why people even like have to spill out their negative comments,
I felt like, okay, we are in your feed because he said, why are you on my feed? Right. If we're in your feed and you don't like what you see, just keep going.
Just keep scrolling.
Why are you talking to me if you're really not interested? I
Right.
think he really was interested in what we
Oh,
had to say.
definitely. He had a lot of energy
He
to
had a
put towards what
lot
we had to
of
say.
energy.
So
Now, and then
we know.
finally, our second favorite, the one
Mm.
who sent me a Trump 2020 sign. And I sent him a note back. And then we should talk about whether or not we want to even respond to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I sent him a note back that said, aren't you glad that you have the freedom to vote and your vote is not suppressed? So let's see if we can create a world where everyone has that same right. And he
Mhm.
went back and forth with me quite a bit
Yeah.
around mail in ballots and
Yeah.
all of that. And I felt like part of what we want to try to do is educate,
Mhm.
raise awareness,
Mhm.
increase people's sensitivity
Yep.
to the experience of folks who aren't privileged. But you think maybe
We don't even need to
you
respond.
should
I
have
mean,
just said rise and fly.
honestly, everybody's gonna have their opinion, you know. And it honestly comes down to the question of, do we want to put our energy into responding to the bigotry?
Well,
You
and
know?
one guy threatened one of the other commenters on our page, and I asked Facebook
Mhm.
to delete him and get
Yeah.
him out of
Yeah.
our mix, and they said they wouldn't do it. He had done nothing wrong. So I said, okay, Facebook, that's fine. What we did is blocked him because you will not get away with threatening another commenter. You can have your own perspective, but you
Yeah.
can't threaten people on our Facebook page. How about that?
Yeah. So haters, stay off our page. We will call you out on our podcast, and feel free to comment because we'll just block you. Honestly.
If you can disagree with our point of view, we don't mind that.
Yeah.
We have our big girl pants on. We can take that because we're adults, but we will
Mhm.
not take disrespect, and we certainly won't take any kind of emotional violence that you want to dish out towards women or towards others who have a different point of view.
And we hope that those who are watching will also take the nonviolent, peaceful approach when being attacked or addressed by haters, because as we mentioned before, this is a very, emotions are high right now with this election going on. People are very bold right now, given who we have as a leader of this country.
Setting the example.
Exactly. So, let's try to take the high road. Let's just ignore if we can. Let's protect ourselves at all costs, of course.
Right. We want to go back to that as we
Yes.
close. That we want you to really be safe, be
Please be
vigilant,
safe.
and
Mhm.
certainly you yourself, please behave in a rational, responsible way as you celebrate the outcome of the elections. We want you around next year when we're talking about elections also. Any
Absolutely.
closing comments, my friend?
Again, a big shout out, big congratulations to all the elected officials that have won this election. We will be keeping a close eye on the presidential so that we can announce on all of our social media platforms. If you guys are not following us on Twitter at Institute for Black Justice, on Instagram at Institute for Black Justice, or YouTube at the same name,
Yes.
go ahead and follow us. So that you guys, and subscribe, subscribe, follow, so you guys can all stay up to date on what it is that we're doing here at the IBJ.
And one final thing,
Mhm.
we are going to have I'm calling it a baby shower.
A baby shower. Well, it was only right. We had the baby.
We
Yeah.
had the baby September 4th. We had the birth announcement. We're gonna have
Gender reveal.
we had the gender reveal. It's sort of he, she, and they.
Yeah.
It's all of the above.
Yeah. Yep.
But we want to give you an opportunity to join us in a celebration of this new entity. And if you want to see more of it and see us expand our work, learn more about the work we do behind the scenes, you're going to get an opportunity over the holidays to help support us financially, and also with your time and talent. If you don't have treasure, we'll take your time, we'll take your talent as well. So stay tuned for more on that. We'll tell you about it in the near future. Threats event coming up November 10th, right?
November 10th. Yes, definitely. We posted it on our IBJ Facebook page, so you guys can go check out all the details for the event there.
Kangen water.
Kangen water.
It's going to
hear everything.
24, not just field 24.
That's the fact. All righty, guys. Well, that's it for now. We'll see you guys again next Thursday, 6 p.m. right here. It's the Black Robe Podcast.
That's Anzhane Slaughter, by the way.
Yes, and that's Carol Mitchell. You guys have a good night.